It's a very weird thing when you take a moment to realize that not many game-related anime series or manga series actually focus on the leveling up aspect of it. Even though it is set in a virtual reality, you'd think it would focus on leveling up characters, and not many series really do that. None. I've seen a webtoon focus on that, but overall, you don't really see it often in, like, anime or manga, and I'm just like, you know what? I give a couple of points. I give a couple of points for Death March for actually having it to where the main male character is leveling up the main characters, the cast, his party members, and trying to get them stronger. It's, like, very rare to see. I mean, you don't actually see that. You legit don't. I mean, Overlord has some aspects of this, but overall, it never really dives into it or focuses on it, and so I'm just like, I really like that, because when I see a anime focusing on, like, a game or whatever, or a manga, it's set in a game verse and all that, I expect to see characters trying to level up, or, the main male character that's OP or whatever has a lot of knowledge that he's in a game world trying to level up other people, but you don't normally get to see that, and I just like this episode for that. Even though on paper and looking at this episode, it's very simple. It's not something that is amazing. It's not something groundbreaking. It's not anything that I think is like you should write home about and say, anime of the season. It's still a wonderful episode, and it was definitely different from what I actually expected at all. Now, there was some cliches here and there, but overall, it was a very fantastic episode that caught my attention from start to finish. So to get right into it, let's talk about how it started off. So the main male character tries to figure out how he can level up his new party members, Pochi, Tama, and Lisa. And they're very low level, obviously. And he's trying to figure out how to raise the level. He was wondering if, there was a shared XP type system. For instance, if he is near them and he wipes out a monster, do they gain passive XP? Similar to what you would see in, like, other MMOs or what you would see in Pokemon, too. You have a party of Pokemon, and you just have one, Pokemon, wipe something out, and everybody else gets passive XP. He was just wondering if they could get something like that. But he noticed every time he was wiping something out and they were just sitting behind him, they didn't level up at all. So, most likely, if I had to assume anything, I'm going to assume he's not necessarily in a party with him. Because if he was in a party with them, I believe that it might have a shared XP pool, but he just might not know how to do it. And since this is technically a little bit different than a game, then he might not be able to do that in the first place. So it does make sense that they would have to initiate combat with the creature to be able to get XP. That is a big thing there. But I mean, he was telling them, like, okay, I want you to attack this, and then he wiped out the opponent. They did have their level raised. And eventually he got to the point where he wanted them to wipe it out by themselves or get the last hit to get more EXP, which is just really entertaining because I'm like, yo, this OP level 310 dude is actually trying to level up other characters and make them strong. I'm like, that's fantastic. That's really fantastic. But at the same time, you're like, why doesn't he just use his exploit? I mean, we know he has the meteor thing. I mean, just like my dude, if you're trying to level him up and all that, just take him out to a field, make them do a couple hits on the creatures, launch down a meteor from orbit. There you go. Level 310 right there for all of them. I mean, okay, I know it's probably not going to be that high because he did wipe out, like, some dragons and gods and stuff. So, I mean, it's obvious that he probably can't do that again. But still, the point stands is that basically, he could easily try to figure out a way to power level them if he wanted. But he was getting them up. He was level grinding, which is just, like, so different from normal, what I expect from these series, and I actually thoroughly enjoyed it, even though it's a very simple aspect, and since I play a lot of MMOs and RPGs and stuff, I see this often where characters, or myself, I am grinding for something like Monster Hunter, perfect recent example of grinding, me grinding out certain monsters to be able to get their equipment, to be able to get their weapon, or whatever. That's a perfect recent example, me grinding on Monster Hunter. I'm like, this is relatable, just going in, helping out lower level people, or higher level people, whatever it may be. I'm like, this is hashtag relatable. So, yeah. Anyways, back into it, though. We noticed that, I think it's Tama. Tama seems to be very aware of her surroundings. I could be wrong, it could be Pochi, but it's one of those two, okay? Pochi or Tama, one of them have the ability to be able to sense, like, walls or breakable walls or hidden passages before even Satu can as well, which is very interesting, which shows that some individuals do have passive skills. And I don't know if this is going to be dived into or not, but I mean, when it comes to RPGs, depending on the race of character or whatever, you have passive skills. That's just how it is. That's how RPGs work. And I'm going to assume that, Tama has the ability to sense, like, certain secret passages, and that's why. And it does seem like Pochi has the ability to, like, detect people from a larger distance. It seems like something like that's going on. Now, I don't know if that's being implied or not. I could be reading too far into it, but it does seem that some of them have, like, little passives that are even better than Satu, and he is not even aware of it until they actually mention something, which we saw multiple times in this episode. So, yeah. Now, speaking of combat capabilities, though, I mean, they're still low level. They're not relatively insanely strong, but they did get pretty high up. And, I mean, if they're going to chill with Satu for a long time, they're going to be with him. Obviously, they're going to get very high up there. I'm very curious what they're going to do or how they're going to react when they find out who he really is. That's my big question I have right now, because, I mean, he's OP. He's really, really OP. He's a hero. He has, like, this in-game equipment and all. That's like, an in-game guy coming into a starter zone, and these starter zones are complete noobs and don't even know what to expect. I mean, he's not letting them know. He's not letting them know anything about himself. He's not trying to reveal anything. It does make me wonder if, they're gonna find out or not, or if he's gonna keep that a secret for a very long time, because he's very OP, and it seems like it's gonna be hard to keep that under wraps if he's pulling out some, like, crazy weapons to protect them. I mean, he already encountered, like, a level 60 enemy, Demon Lord, in this episode, so, I mean, if he's already encountering stuff like that, I can't imagine the future stuff. I do wonder what the level cap of this game is, though, because, I mean, we know he's level 310, but like I said, he might have broke the level cap. That is a thing. That is a thing. Sometimes your numbers can get so high, you can break a level cap, and it's too high up there, and that could be why he's 310, but even though he might have broke it or not, the point stands is, I wonder what the max level creature in this world is, and I'm just very, very, very curious about that. So, yeah. Besides level grinding and all of that, we have some solid progression going on. He managed to make it out of the dungeon. We had it to where he finally set on his quest to be, like, a hero. He got his hero title. He got to use his holy sword. And apparently to be able to use certain weapons, you actually have to have a title equipped. That's, that's pretty cool. I gotta admit, that's a pretty cool mechanic. I mean, I've seen some games have that where you have to have a certain title to do something, and I'm just like, that's cool how they added something like that into this. Like, he has to have, like, the hero title on to be able to actually wield, like, a hero weapon, like the hero holy blade, and if he doesn't, it damages him. So, I find that little aspect of the series cool, so that means he needs to actively go out of his way and collect titles to be able to do certain things. And speaking of titles, though, oh my god, it was savage at the beginning of this episode when he was petting Pochi, rubbing his head, and it said Tamer as a title. The title Tamer popped up, and he's like, well, that's a little bit rude. I'm like, yeah, that's freaking rude. Basically saying you just tamed a little kid and all of that. I'm like, that is rude as hell. That is really, really rude. But, I mean, some of those titles are very interesting. I do wonder how many titles this man is going to get before everything is said and done, because every single week when a new episode starts, he has more and more titles, and I'm just constantly wondering, what's he going to get this week? What's going to be his next title? I mean, is he going to be Expert Fisherman or something next? I'm very curious about that. But, I want to end it there. Overall, great episode. It was nothing amazing, but it was something very enjoyable because of what it tried to do, especially with having our characters level grinding, which you don't normally get to see. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload content, please click the bell icon down below. So, please be safe. Chibi out.